We all know that we're going through tough times right now, and that means a lot of people just want to keep their hamster on a budget. But this definitely isn't the easiest thing to do, so let me help you to keep your hamster on a budget. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you love hamsters just like me, you're in the right place. On this channel I will tell you everything you need to know about hamster care, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe and also hit that notification bell so you never miss my videos. So first, a disclaimer, this video is not for people that want cheap pets, because there is first of all no such thing as cheap pets, and pets should never be kept because it's cheap. This video is directed to people that actually like hamsters and are interested in hamster care but just want to keep them on a budget. So let's start with the cage. This is a very important one. So my number one recommendation would be a bin cage. This is the cheapest option for any cage, I would believe. There are a lot of videos about it, so make sure to check any of them out. This really doesn't cost a lot of money because you only have a bin and maybe some mesh that you need to use to cover the lid. I personally don't have a bin cage since I have another cage that I will mention in a minute. Making this cage is definitely not that hard if you are a little bit of a creative person. So for bin cages I would recommend at least 600 square inches, and that's already a little bit smaller than the bare minimum, but for bin cages you cannot go that big. Try to go, of course, as big as possible with bin cages because hamsters need a lot of space to live. Next cage that I would recommend to people on a budget is the IKEA D12 cage. This is my favorite cage till now because I also own it and I think it's very handy. First of all, this is way above the bare minimum of 5,000 square centimeters or 775 square inches. So this cage, I would say, compared to other cages that you buy online, is quite more cheaper for the value. For example, there are some cages that are meant for rat and mice and hamsters that are above like 500 square inches and they are suitable in the US. But they usually already cost like $60 or more, while the D12 only costs like maybe $70 and maybe even less. If you live in Europe, it costs about 60 euros. And if you have ever walked into a pet store and saw these fancy cages, they usually also cost like $70 or more. So I would recommend the D12 for people that have a bit more to spend. So the only con I would say for this IKEA D12 cage is that the height is not really tall, so it's not possible to put big wheels or high climbing toys in there. For another con is that you have to make your own lid with mesh that you also maybe use for the bin cage. So these are the only two cons I would say. There are a lot of DIY cages you can do yourself and of course make yourself. A lot of YouTubers have made amazing videos on that, so you can check that out. And if you think about it, the only function of a cage is to keep your hamster contained, so why should it be so expensive? So the cage is probably your most expensive item that you will get in your hamster care supplies, along with the next one, which is bedding. Definitely you should never skip on bedding because it's so important for hamster enrichment. And also, you cannot really skip on this because there's no other way to really complement this instead of providing a lot of bedding. The hamster will find most of their joy in burrowing and running on a reel. So I've seen some people recommend toilet paper as bedding, you know, and of course it is possible, but it's not the best for burrowing. At the start of my hamster care journey, I tried that too, and I thought it was a good option, even though it really didn't do anything. The only thing it was maybe good at was like keeping the ammonia smell down, but burrowing, that didn't work at all. I would definitely recommend buy a store-bought bedding or just something online that a manufacturer has made instead of making yourself. So I think you guys have seen it a lot. The Katie Clean and Cozy bedding is a little bit overexposed, but you can see, you know, I hope you know what it is. So this is not the biggest one. This is only 24 liters, but there are bigger versions and they are better value. The 85 liter version, white version of this type of bedding costs about right now $28 or something. It used to only cost $21 or euros, but inflation, if you don't know. I would recommend the paper bedding because it's first of all got a burrowing if you compact it. It's also just more for the price. For some reason, Aspen tends to be more expensive than paper-based bedding in my country where I live. So if I was on a budget, I would just stick to only paper-based bedding because everything else is a little bit expensive. And even bedding right now is so expensive, I don't know how people can still afford it. So next we have food. So food is definitely not something to DIY yourself unless you really have a lot of money. DIY seed mix take a lot of research, time, and also just money. Of course, you can probably make a way better mix than store-bought mixes if you do it yourself, or maybe even not. But it's just not for budget hamster care people. So I don't think there's really a way to skip on the seed mixes and the pellets because that's probably like the only thing you can DIY. For treats though, you don't need to buy treats necessarily. I first of all already don't like treats, you know, the flour treats, the yogurt treats or something like that. I don't like them. I like to use whole foods such as mealworms, seeds, whatever, to give to my hamster as treats because they are just better in my opinion. Also, another thing about these sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and mealworms, they tend to be in bigger bags since they are often sold for maybe birds. I think you can get a very big bag, 2 pounds of like a bag, 1 kilogram, for I think €3, $4 or something like that. Mealworms tend to be a bit more expensive since they are an actual animal, so that's maybe something you should be careful of. You definitely don't need to buy a big bag of mealworms. 80 grams is already enough for like your whole hamster's life. So buying treats you could do in bulk. Next thing I want to talk about is a Sandbath. So there is this comment what I want to talk about real quick because I wanted to mention this because it was relevant to the video. So if you guys didn't know, I like to use children's play sand for my hamster's Sandbath because it is cheaper than, you know, chinchilla sand. And then a person, I will not be blurring the username because it is just under my video. The person says, please only use chinchilla sand. His information on this topic is false, which I want to real quick touch on. So I replied to this and I said children's play sand is really safe, and if you sanitize it properly using this way right here on the screen, it will definitely be safe for hamsters. First of all, why I said chinchilla sand I would be more careful of because it tends to be more dusty sometimes, because it's not necessarily made for hamsters because hamsters have sensitive respiratory systems. But of course some chinchilla sand is safe, but it's usually more expensive than children's play sand, which is why I would not recommend it necessarily for budget hamster owners. So I say children's play sand is definitely safe. A lot of people have used it for the hamster and they don't have any problems with it. And also children's play sand comes in big bags, which means again more value for the price. And of course baking is also expensive, you know, the sanitizing method I just mentioned. So try when you're sanitizing things, try to put as much of it in as possible, maybe other toys that you want to sanitize, because it will save you some electricity. Next, another important thing for hamsters are toys. So I think the wheel is not really that expensive in my opinion, $10. Of course, there are DIY methods, and if you find one, of course, just try that, and I hope it works for you and it really works because your hamster needs to run. And if you have just $10 to spend, you can spend it on this wheel. Good wheels are the Trixie wheel, for example, that I like to use. And other wheels that you can get in the USA are the Wooden wheel and the Silent Runner, I believe. I recommend getting a 30 centimeter in diameter wheel because it is suitable probably for any hamster species, and then you can just keep using it instead of buying different sizes of wheels, because that can also be, of course, expensive. So next, for chew toys, I have sticks right here. So I think these could be used as a chew toy, of course. I think toys should be wood in general, so they can chew on the wood if they want to. But if you really want to splurge a bit on chew toys, you can of course go search for little sticks in the wild. I will put a list of safe woods for hamsters in the description so you can check out if it's actually safe. And you should also use the sanitizing method that I mentioned earlier, because these cannot just be thrown into your hamster's enclosure. Something important to note is that pine, cedar, or any softwood is not safe. Even kiln-dried softwood is not safe for hamsters. Another thing you can use as toys as tunnel for your hamster is a toilet roll. I would say only use for dwarf hamsters as a tunnel, because I don't think Syrian hamsters can go through this, and if they do, they probably get stuck. And this is basically free. This is waste from your home which you can reuse. And there is a lot of waste, of course clean waste, that you can reuse for your hamsters, such as cardboard from boxes or something. So you can always DIY with, you know, the garbage, the trash that you have at home. And I think like the bendy bridges, the other small toys for hamsters are not that expensive. You can buy like a bendy bridge for maybe $2. I think that's a good quality one then. And if you research a lot of hamster toys, you probably can find budget options. So this time I don't know what video to recommend to you, so make sure to first of all subscribe to my channel if you like this video for more hamster care content. And also hit this video, just click on it if you want to just keep watching on my channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I see you guys next time.